Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way. Worry does not change tomorrow, but faith can absolutely transform your future. Some of you walked in here today carrying fear, anxiety, and questions you don't have answers to yet. You're wondering when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and why it hasn't happened already. You keep looking at doors that are closed, shaking the handle, getting frustrated, and asking God, why not me? But I came to tell you today, God will open the right door, so don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me talk to you about trusting God's timing, because this right here is where most of us struggle. We don't have a problem believing God can do it. We just have a problem believing God will do it on His schedule instead of ours. We say we trust God, but the moment things don't happen when we expect them to, worry starts creeping in. Anxiety shows up. Doubt starts whispering in our ear. We start checking the clock, comparing our lives to other people, and asking God why we're still waiting. But the truth is, trusting God's timing means believing that delay does not mean denial. You see, we live in a world that wants everything instantly. Fast success, quick money, overnight fame, immediate answers. So when God takes His time, we assume something is wrong. But nothing is wrong. God is not slow. God is strategic. He sees the full picture while we only see what's right in front of us. You're asking God to hurry up, but God is trying to line things up. He's arranging people, situations, opportunities, and lessons that all have to come together at the right moment. If one piece is missing, the whole thing can fall apart. Some of you are frustrated because you've been praying, working, believing, and still nothing seems to be moving. You think God forgot about you. Let me clear that up right now. God has not forgotten your address. He hasn't misplaced your prayer. He hasn't overlooked your effort. Just because you don't see progress doesn't mean God isn't working. Some of God's greatest work happens behind the scenes, in places you can't see and in ways you don't understand. Trusting God's timing also means accepting that He knows what you're not ready for yet. You might want the blessing, but are you prepared for the responsibility that comes with it? You might want the position, but can you handle the pressure? You might want the relationship, but have you healed from the last one? God loves you too much to give you something that will break you. So sometimes He holds it back until you grow strong enough to carry it. Waiting feels uncomfortable because it forces you to sit with unanswered questions. It forces you to face your fears. It forces you to grow patience in a world that rewards impatience. But waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is training time. While you're waiting, God is teaching you discipline. He's building your character. He's strengthening your faith. He's preparing you mentally and emotionally for what's coming next. If you skip the waiting season, you skip the preparation, and unprepared people often lose what they prayed for. You have to understand this. God's timing is perfect even when it's painful, even when you're tired, even when you're confused, even when you're disappointed. God sees roads you don't see. He knows outcomes you can't predict. That door you're asking Him to open right now might lead to heartbreak, failure, or regret. And God, being the loving Father that He is, will keep it closed until the right door becomes available. A lot of people miss their blessing because they give up 5 minutes before God shows up. They stop believing, stop praying, stop trusting because they think the wait is proof that it's not meant for them. But what if the wait is proof that it is meant for you? What if God is taking his time because he wants to give you something so big, so lasting, so meaningful that it has to arrive at the perfect moment? Trusting God's timing means learning to rest, not quit. It means saying, I don't understand it, but I trust you. It means waking up every day and choosing faith over frustration. It means refusing to let worry steal your peace. Worry will tell you that you're running out of time. Faith will remind you that God controls time. Worry will tell you that you missed your chance. Faith will tell you that what's meant for you cannot miss you. Some of you need to stop measuring your life by someone else's timeline. Their season is not your season. Their journey is not your journey. God custom designed your path for you. What looks late to you might be right on time, according to God. When you finally look back, you'll realize that if things had happened any sooner, you wouldn't have been ready to receive them or appreciate them. Trusting God's timing also requires surrender. You can't control everything. You can't force every door open. You can't rush every process. The more you try to control, the more stressed you become. But when you surrender, you make room for peace. You make room for clarity. You make room for God to do what only he can do. So if you're in a season where nothing seems to be happening, don't panic. Stay faithful. Stay patient. Stay focused. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep believing. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. And when the timing is right, not when you demand it, but when he decides it, the right door will open in a way that makes you realize the wait was worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey, let me tell you something about closed doors, because most people misunderstand them. When a door closes in your life, your first reaction is pain. You feel rejected, disappointed, embarrassed, sometimes even angry at God. You start questioning yourself, wondering what you did wrong, wondering why you weren't good enough, wondering why it worked out for somebody else but not for you. But I came to tell you today that every closed door is not a setback. Some closed doors are protection. You see, we think we know what we want, but God knows what we need. We look at opportunities and judge them by how good they look on the outside. God looks at the outcome. He sees consequences we can't see. He sees conversations that will happen behind closed doors. He sees traps disguised as blessings. He sees stress hidden behind success. So when God closes a door, he's not punishing you. He's protecting you from something that would have hurt you in ways you couldn't recover from. Think about how many times you begged God for something and didn't get it. At the time, it felt like heartbreak. It felt unfair. But later on, you realized that if you had gotten what you asked for, your life would be worse right now. Some relationships you cried over would have destroyed your peace. Some jobs you wanted would have drained your joy. Some environments you tried to fit into would have cost you your values. That closed door wasn't rejection, it was rescue. The problem is, we don't like closed doors because they mess with our pride. They make us feel like we fail. They make us feel unwanted. They make us feel stuck. But God is not concerned with your pride. He's concerned with your purpose. And if something threatens your purpose, God will shut it down without asking your opinion. He loves you enough to stop you even when you don't understand why you're being stopped. Some of you are upset because you keep knocking on the same door and it won't open. Let me help you understand something. If God keeps a door closed, it's because behind that door is something you don't need, something you can't handle, or something that doesn't align with where He's taking you. You can knock harder, you can cry louder, you can pray longer, but if God says no, it's because yes would hurt you from becoming S. Harmony you're not supposed to be. Sometimes the opportunity looks good, but it would require you to compromise your character. It would force you to lower your standards. It would slowly pull you away from your values. God will close that door because He's more interested in who you become than what you achieve. Success that costs you your integrity is too expensive. A lot of people don't realize that closed doors save time. Imagine walking down a road for 10 years only to find out it was the wrong one. God closes doors early so you don't waste your life going in the wrong direction. It hurts in the moment, but it saves you years of regret. It saves you emotional damage. It saves you from having to start over at a point where you're already exhausted. Closed doors also teach you to trust God instead of your own understanding. We like control. We like knowing what's next. But God works best when you don't have all the answers. When a door closes and you don't know why, you're forced to rely on faith instead of logic. You're forced to believe that God sees what you don't. That's not weakness, that's growth. Some of you need to stop replaying the sound of a door slamming shut in your life. Stop blaming yourself. Stop living in regret. Stop asking, what if? That door closed because it was never meant to be your final destination. It was a lesson, not a loss. It was direction, not denial. God redirected you because He has something better, something safer, something more aligned with who you are becoming. Let me tell you this too. Closed doors prepare you for open ones. Every disappointment teaches you something. Every rejection strengthens you. Every setback builds resilience. So when the right door finally opens, you walk through it wiser, stronger, and more confident. If every door opened easily, you wouldn't appreciate the right one when it comes. Sometimes God closes doors because you're settling. You're trying to make something work that He never designed for you. You're staying in situations because they're familiar, not because they're healthy. God closes the door to force you to move, to grow, to step into something new. Comfort can be dangerous if it keeps you stuck in a place you've outgrown. So the next time a door closes in your life, don't panic, don't lose faith, don't assume the worst. Pause and thank God for protecting you from what you can't see. Trust that if it didn't open, it wasn't good for you. And understand this clearly. God doesn't close a door without already planning a better one. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey, let me speak to you about choosing faith over fear, because fear is one of the greatest weapons the enemy uses to stop people from walking into what God has for them. Fear doesn't show up screaming. It whispers. It tells you you're not ready, not qualified, not strong enough. It tells you to worry about what might go wrong instead of trusting what God already promised. And if you let fear lead your life, it will keep you stuck at doors God already gave you permission to walk through. Fear makes you imagine the worst case scenario before anything even happens. You haven't failed yet, but fear convinces you that you will. You haven't been rejected, but fear tells you not to try. You haven't lost anything, but fear keeps reminding you of what you could lose. That's how fear operates. It lives in the future and feeds on uncertainty. Faith, on the other hand, lives in trust. Faith says, even if I don't know how this is going to work out, I believe God is already ahead of me. A lot of people pray for blessings but panic when it's time to step out in faith. They ask God to open doors, but when the door opens, fear freezes them. Fear tells you to stay where it's safe. Faith tells you to move. Even when it's uncomfortable, growth has never happened in comfort zones. Everything God has ever done in my life required me to move while I was still scared. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. Fear will also make you doubt God's character. It will make you question whether God really cares, whether he's really listening, whether he's really going to come through this time. That's why worry feels so heavy. Worry is fear in slow motion. You replay the same thoughts over and over again, hoping to find control where there is none. But faith releases control. Faith says, God, I can't handle this on my own, so I'm giving it to you. You have to understand this. Fear lies. It exaggerates problems and minimizes God. It makes obstacles look bigger than they are and makes your faith feel smaller than it really is. Faith does the opposite. Faith reminds you of what God has already brought you through. Faith says, if he did it before, he can do it again. Faith keeps your eyes on God instead of the storm. Some of you are afraid because you're walking into unfamiliar territory. You don't know what's next. You don't know how it's going to work out. But let me tell you something powerful. God does some of his best work in unfamiliar places. If you already knew how to handle it, you wouldn't need him. The uncertainty you're facing right now is an invitation to trust God at a deeper level. Fear will try to convince you that you're alone in this process. It will make you feel isolated, unsupported, overwhelmed. But God never sends you anywhere without his presence. He doesn't open doors and abandon you. When God opens a door, he walks through it with you. You may feel afraid, but you are never unprotected. Another thing fear does is rush you. It makes you feel like you have to figure everything out right now. Faith teaches patience. Faith understands that clarity often comes after obedience, not before. You don't always get the full plan at the beginning. Sometimes God gives you just enough light for the next step, and that's all you need. Fear will also try to use your past against you. It will remind you of mistakes you made, opportunities you missed, times you failed. It will tell you that because you didn't succeed before, you won't succeed now. But faith understands that your past does not disqualify you. God is a master at using broken pieces to create something beautiful. Your history doesn't cancel your destiny. You have to make a daily decision to choose faith. Faith is not automatic. It's a choice you make every morning when you wake up. You choose to trust instead of panic. You choose to move forward instead of staying stuck. Fear will always give you reasons to stop. Faith will always give you reasons to keep going. Some of you are standing at a door right now, and fear is telling you to turn around. It's telling you you're not ready. You're not enough. you're going to fail. But faith is telling you that God doesn't make mistakes. If he brought you to this door, it's because he knows you can walk through it. You don't need all the answers. You just need obedience. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means fear won't control you. It means you trust God more than you trust your emotions. It means you believe God's promises more than your doubts. When you choose faith over fear, you create space for God to move, to guide you, to strengthen you, and to open doors that fear was trying to keep you away from. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey, let me talk to you about preparation, because a lot of people pray for open doors but don't prepare themselves to walk through them. They want God to bless them, but they're not ready to handle the blessing when it shows up. They ask for opportunity, but they haven't worked on the discipline, the mindset, or the character required to keep that opportunity once it arrives. And God, being the loving Father that he is, will not open a door that you're not prepared to enter. Preparation is what you do while you're waiting. It's how you act when nothing seems to be happening. Too many people waste the waiting season complaining, worrying, and doubting instead of using it to grow. But the waiting season is not empty. It's full of lessons. It's full of development. It's full of quiet work that no one sees but God. And what you do in that season determines how long you'll stay there. You see, when God opens a door, it usually comes with responsibility. New levels bring new pressure. New blessings bring new challenges. If you're not prepared, the very thing you prayed for can overwhelm you. That's why God often delays the door. He's not saying no. He's saying there's still something in you that needs to grow before you step into this next chapter. Preparation means working on yourself even when no one is watching. It means sharpening your skills even when there's no applause. It means improving your mindset even when life feels unfair. You can't expect God to promote you if you haven't mastered where you are. Every season has a lesson, and if you refuse to learn it, you repeat the season. But once you learn it, the door opens. A lot of people think preparation is about talent, but it's really about character. Talent might get you through the door, but character keeps you in the room. God prepares your heart before he changes your situation. He works on your patience before he gives you increase. He works on your humility before he gives you visibility. He works on your discipline before he gives you abundance. If those things aren't in place, success can destroy you instead of bless you. Preparation also means letting go of what can't go with you. Some people, habits, and mindsets are not allowed in the next season of your life. And that's hard because we get attached to what's familiar. But God won't open a new door if you're still holding on to old baggage. You have to make room for what's coming by releasing what's holding you back. While you're waiting, God is watching how you handle small things. Are you grateful for what you have now, or are you only focused on what you don't have yet? Are you faithful with little, or are you waiting to be faithful when you get more? Preparation shows up in your attitude. It shows up in how you treat people. It shows up in how you respond to disappointment. God looks at those details. Preparation also builds confidence. When the door opens, you don't want to walk in feeling unqualified and insecure. Preparation gives you the assurance that you did the work, you studied, you practiced, you grew. So when the opportunity arrives, You're not begging for approval. You're walking in purpose. You're not nervous. You're ready. Some of you are frustrated because you think nothing is happening, but something is happening inside you. You're becoming stronger. You're becoming wiser. You're becoming more disciplined. You're learning what you won't tolerate anymore. You're learning what truly matters. That internal preparation is just as important as the external opportunity. God often prepares you through discomfort. He stretches you. He challenges you. He puts you in situations that test your faith and patience. That's not punishment. That's training. Athletes don't get strong without resistance. Muscles don't grow without pressure. And faith doesn't grow without challenges. God uses difficulty to prepare you for destiny. Preparation also teaches you obedience. Sometimes God asks you to do things that don't make sense yet. He asks you to move, to let go, to trust without explaining the full plan. And when you obey in the small instructions, you show God you're ready for bigger ones. Obedience is a sign of maturity. You have to understand this. The door God is preparing to open is worth the wait. If it wasn't important, it wouldn't require preparation. If it was small, it wouldn't take time. The delay is often a sign of the size of the blessing. God takes his time with things that matter. So if you're in a season where it feels like you're stuck, ask yourself what you're becoming, not just what you're waiting for. Use this time wisely. Grow, heal, learn, prepare. Because when God opens that door, it won't be by accident. It will be because you're ready to walk through it and handle everything waiting on the other side.